All right, guys, this is Austin Jones here with Economics for Managers. I'm going to be going over and presenting our presentation for our group projects. In my group was Courtney Bowie and Taylor Hamilton, and our topic was tariffs and import quotas. As many people are familiar, tariffs and import quotas are basically a tax that is placed on any imported or exported good in hopes to either regulate trade within that country, or they can be used to try and promote economic growth for certain instances. First, I'd like to go over the pros. As you can see, some of the pros of the import quotas are higher import costs lead to a decline in consumer surplus. This means that excuse me, that they can help. What am I trying to say? They promote domestic production as well. By this, they basically lock in a certain country or economy into producing a good within that area. So, for instance, let's say car manufacturing is down in the United States. Well, the president or the government might put a tariff on imports of cars that come from, let's say, Japan or China or anywhere else in the world. This is hopefully going to promote U.S. manufacturers to move their manufacturing plants to the U.S. to produce their goods here in the U.S. to hopefully promote jobs and promote economic growth that way. It also increases government revenue by, obviously, the taxes that are placed go to the government, and then the government takes that pool of money and figures out how they want to disperse that income, whether it's in creating more jobs, fixing roads, government jobs, etc. They also can be used to help regulate growth, like I said, in certain areas or countries. And it keeps the volumes of imports unchanged even when the demand of imported articles increases. However, even though tariffs and import quotas can be used for good reasons to promote economic growth, they can also be used for bad reasons. For instance, some of the cons are retaliation from other countries. For instance, if you think back to when the United States was trying to become their own independent country from Great Britain, Great Britain placed a lot of tariffs on American-made goods that were made over in the colonies, that all that revenue went back to Britain. So instead of creating a tax to help your own economy and to grow your own economy, to send the money back in to the American government, in fact, it was going back to Britain, which then creates the citizens in the colonies were unhappy, caused the Boston Tea Party, riots, prohibition, everything like that happened because of the retaliation of taxes or tariffs. It can also increase current barriers. It can decrease the level of efficiency by declining the level of competition. So if you enforce a tariff, what can happen is when you enforce the tariff, the price of that good is going to go up. Some people will cut costs in other places to make up for that tariff or that import and be okay. Other companies will not be able to cut the cost and either A, close their doors, or B, charge an outrageous price that they can't sell at, and then therefore they don't make any money and have to close their doors one way. So by companies closing their doors, this creates a less competitive market, which can in turn end up allowing some of these big major companies to kind of group up and own a large percentage of the market, and then they can demand price more, and it becomes more unfair to consumers, inflating prices. Uh, this also creates a loss of jobs in the workforce because without some of these manufacturers, if they close their doors, they have to lay off all these employees, and then all these employees can't find jobs at some of these other places. So, kind of wrapping this up, this was interesting because it's kind of a hard topic to wrap your mind around, and before going into this, I really had no idea how exactly tariffs were used and all the negative effects that they can have if they're used for the wrong reasons. I knew that they were a tax on goods, but I didn't necessarily know their economic benefit or their economic harm that they can have. So just to kind of wrap it up, tariffs can be used for good reasons to promote economic growth by kind of locking in production here or production within a country, but they can also be used for harm if the tax money doesn't go back into the government, or it creates an unfair competitive advantage for some and ends up closing businesses down by such a high tariff. That's all I have for you guys. Here's my works cited. Thanks.